Hello everyone, Chef Chris Holland here with Chef Out of Water. As you also know, I'm the owner and the head chef of the Baked Alaska here in Astoria, Oregon. We are completely shut down for the foreseeable future, so I figure let's bring some cooking into your kitchen. So, on this episode, the next episode of Cooking at Home during a global pandemic, we're going to do a couple of different things. Number one, we're going to start with pasta. We're going to use yesterday's sauce. We talked about having the leftover and what you can do with it. So what I've done is I've gotten some penne pasta. All right. Now you're not stuck with penne pasta, but you have spaghetti, spaghettini, whatever you might have. It's going to be a similar concept. All right. Penne pasta. We're going to also use yesterday's red sauce, or the previous episode's red sauce, to complete a pasta dish. We have some leftover pizza dough that we're going to also use, so that'll be good. So if you made too much, or perhaps you want to revisit the previous episode, figure out how we made that, also figure out how we made the red sauce, you can take this. We're going to make some breadsticks. Also, I thought it might be fun to do an alternate sauce as well. So let's talk about a little bit of pesto. I have a fair amount of basil laying around, so let's use it up, and we'll come back to that. So starting with number one, we got our water boiling on the stove behind me here. We're going to, it's rapidly boiling, all right? Let's go ahead and season a little bit, just with our sea salt here, all right? Season the water. Now, there's a couple of little misnomers. In my opinion, a lot of folks add olive oil to their water when they're boiling pasta. I don't think it's totally necessary. In my opinion, I think that water and oil don't really mix, so really what's the point? Let's save the oil for when the pasta has been strained out, and we're going to toss it a little bit of olive oil in then when it's totally done. Now, how we want to cook this though, you've probably heard the term before, al dente, all right, which literally means to the tooth. So, as you're cooking it, it's really important to kind of just taste as you go. Sure, you probably had the whole throw it against the wall, does it stick? Well, I don't think that'll work too well with penne at this point. So, let's taste it. What are we looking for? So, al dente literally translates to the tooth, which means when you bite into it, it's not crunchy, okay? It's tender, but it doesn't quite stick in your molar, all right? So that's kind of a thing, all right? Is it tender? Does it not stick in your molar? Then it's fully done. Let's give it a shot here, all right? So we've got our water boiling behind us. We're going to drop in the penne, all right? We're going to give it a little stir. Okay, go ahead and let the water come back to a boil. But then we're going to turn it down a little bit. If it's boiling too much, it has a tendency to potentially overflow, all right? So let's try to avoid that, all right? So it's coming back. We're going to turn it down just a little bit and get it more of a medium high. It's still boiling pretty good, but a little medium high. All right, now, secondly, I went ahead and heated up my sauce from yesterday. So if you want the recipe for this, please watch the previous episode, all right? And that will give you all the instructions of making this sauce. So we had some left, so why not use it for a pasta, all right? Dual purpose, let's use it all up entirely, all right? So that's on the burner next to us. Now, leftover pizza dough, all right? Same thing. If you want to know how to make this, please watch the previous episode. For the moment, what we're going to do is turn that into a nice garlic breadstick. So lightly flour the surface, a little bit of flour, all right? We're going to take yesterday's dough. We're going to go ahead and give it a little, just so it doesn't stick here. Again, as we mentioned before, you want to go ahead and kind of slightly pound it out, just a little bit using your knuckles. Remember, just use this part. All right. We're going to go ahead and take our rolling pin here, give it a little coat of flour, and go ahead and roll this stuff out. Now, it's a perfect use for leftover pizza dough, but again, if you want to make it from scratch, just for this purpose, go for it. Please revisit the recipe on the previous episode. All right, so here we go. All right, rolled out nice and flat. So what I'm going to do now is give it a little, we're going to go ahead and cut it into strips, all right? I have my sheet pan here, which many of you likely have. Again, we're going to spray it a little bit, keep the dough from sticking to it. All right, we've got our leftover. We're going to cut it in strips like that. This is real simple. you want to get complicated, you want to kind of mix it up, you could always kind of twist them together if you like. But for me, I'm just going to cut them in strips, lay them out on our sheet pan. Alrighty. Lay them out on the sheet pan, and alright, so we'll set that aside for just a second. Also, it is, as I would like to stress to you, clean as you go. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and wipe this all up. We're done with the whole flour part of this situation, and let's clean it up. Alright, so I'm using, again, we're using a sanitizer that is a commercial grade sanitizer, but I previously mentioned to create your own, you could simply use bleach. It's approximately a capful to 1 gallon of water. All right, so we got this all kind of tidied up. Put that aside. All right, so another little helpful hint. You ever find that your cutting board's kind of rolling around on you? Go ahead and throw a wet towel underneath it. That's pretty handy, right? It's going to keep it from sliding around and to help prevent injuries and things like that. All right, let's take a peek over at our pasta real quick. All right, it's boiling away. It's going to take, I don't know, probably about 10 or 12 minutes to fully cook the pasta. So in the meantime, while it's cooking, let me give our sauce a stir here. While the pasta's cooking, let's get into the breadsticks. All right, so we have our dough over here. Now, let's do this. We're going to take a little bit of olive oil. If you don't have a brush, I'm just going to use a teaspoon here. And we're going to lightly brush olive oil onto our dough. Just a little bit like that. All right. So, just like that. So if you want to just a little bit of olive oil on the dough, it's going to give it a nice buttery kind of texture. And add a fair amount of flavor to it as well. Let's take about, oh, I don't know, 6 or 8 chunks of garlic. All right, give them a little smash. All right, you're not stuck with these recipes, all right? I'm meant to give you foundations where you can take and tweak things with what you have and make it your own dish, all right? So everything starts with the foundation. What you do with it after that is entirely up to you. I think the idea here is that I just want to give you something to do at home while we're passing the time, something to do with the family. It's a great activity, and we're going to learn a few things along the way that you can take for and use for future knowledge when this whole thing is over, right? And we're moving back to our normal lives. All right, a little bit of chopped garlic. Let's go ahead and we're just going to put it on just like that on the bread. We'll kind of rub it a little bit, kind of. Now you could also, if you wanted to try a different way of doing this, you could infuse your olive oil with the garlic. All right, if you want to put your olive oil on the stove, kind of on a low flame, kind of heat it up a little bit, you could just put the garlic in there and create a garlic olive oil. All right. There we go. Now, all that done, let's go ahead. We're going to give it a little bit of seasoning, just a sprinkle over the top. I like to use our own Chef Daddy salt, and we're going to give it a little sprinkle. It'll also have a little bite to it, all right? Give you a little texture. All right, so there it is. It's that simple. Feel free, add what you want. If you want to have some sun-dried tomatoes, a different flavor, olive oil, lemon olive oil, something like, feel free. Make this your own, all right? Into the oven. All right, so I have the oven set at 350 degrees convection, all right? So if you don't have a convection oven, that's okay. 350 is a good temperature, but you could certainly turn it up to 375 or 400. Typically a convection oven is a little bit hotter, 25 to 50 degrees hotter, all right? So we threw it in there. We're gonna let it go for at least 5-6 minutes, have a look, maybe turn it around, and we'll see where it's at. All right, in the meantime, let's have a peek at our pasta. All right, still got a few minutes. Okay, so while we're doing that, let's talk about the additional sauce. How about making pesto? All right, let's make pesto sauce. Give you another option. Something else you can put with your pasta as an alternative, or if you used all your pizza sauce. I don't know, maybe you have a family of 8 and you went ahead and made a bunch of pizzas and used all your sauce. It's all good. Let's try a different thing here. All right, now I'm going to turn the water down a little bit more. Give that another little stir. Okay, don't forget about it on the stove. This is kind of a multitasking, right? So you can always divide the family. You know, your son's maybe he's keeping an eye on the pasta. Maybe your daughter's watching the sauce. All right. So there we go. All right. Now we have here a food processor. Now previously I didn't use any mechanical devices. Well, at this point, this is the ideal thing to use for pesto. Now, if you happen to have a mortar and pestle, you could certainly do it by hand. But we have a food processor here, all right? So I'm gonna put in, what do we got? Maybe 6 cloves of garlic, all right? We're gonna go ahead and give that a quick little, just to start chopping it up. Here we go. Okay, we got our garlic kind of pre-chopped. I went ahead and picked from some wonderful basil. I had a fair amount left. I went ahead and picked 30 like medium to large size leaves of basil, right? We're gonna put those right in here, okay? With that as well. This is what I happen to have. Now, basil pesto is typically made with pine nuts. Pine nuts can be a bit spendy, and maybe you don't have any, all right? So let's do a substitute. I just wanna show you flexibility, the other things you could do, all right? We actually have pumpkin seeds, right? So let's chuck those in there. This is a half a cup of pumpkin seeds, all right? Also, I have Parmesan cheese. If you have Asiago, a hard cheese like that, that'll be wonderful. Let's go ahead and put that in there. Same amount, also half a cup of Parmesan cheese, all right? Now, pesto, to give it a little zingy flavor and help round everything out, we always use lemons. For this recipe, we're gonna use the juice of 2 fresh lemons, all right? I happen to have a squeezer, which if you don't, it's all good. Try to avoid the seeds though, so you can squeeze it through your hand. All right, try to catch all the seeds so they don't end up in your pesto. All right, so here we go. The juice of 2 lemons. There, that's 1 whole one. And there, another half of one. Give that a good squeeze. And there we go. So that's 2 lemons. Okay, again, I got 30 leaves of pesto, 6 cloves of garlic, a half a cup of pumpkin seeds, and half a cup of Parmesan cheese, all right? This is where we're at. All right, now let's blend it all together. That smells pretty darn good. Now, what we need now is olive oil. How thick? I didn't measure this. So, how thick or thin do you want your pesto? The more olive oil that you add, the thinner it's going to get. I'm going to leave that entirely up to you. So what we're going to do is, while we're blending, is go ahead and add in the olive oil. Okay, that's going to create the additional liquid that we need to get this all to blend. All right? There we go. Okay, so go ahead, take the top off, scrape the sides down a little bit. All right, and we have a nice chunky pesto. Let's give that one little whirl here. Get that thing on there, right? Oh yeah, okay, we're going to scrape this down one more time. Okay, at this point, now, I mentioned before, it's good to taste things a couple of times before you season them, all right? You can always add more salt, but it's really hard to get the salt out, all right? So, let's give it a little. Oh, that is wonderful. We're gonna add just a little bit of Chef Daddy salt to that, all right? And hit that one more time. I think it's fun with the pumpkin seeds, are fantastic. All right, one more time. Yes, I got a fresh spoon here. Let's try that one more time. It's bright, it's lemony, it's a little garlicky. I think it's fantastic. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the sauce and we're gonna put it into a bowl, just like that. And again, I have leftovers, so we'll save that for a little bit later. All right, okay, jumping back over, let's check out the pasta situation. All right, honestly, I think the best way to really know when your pasta is done is to eat some. Let it cool off a little bit, right? You don't want to burn your mouth, but I think it's al dente. It's not stuck in my tooth. What did that take? Maybe 10 minutes. All right. Also, in the meantime, let's have a peek at our breadsticks. All right. They're getting real close. They kind of puffed up. They're getting dark. We've roasted the garlic. That's looking pretty fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and give it about 2 minutes. All right. So, flicking off the flame to the pasta. It is good to go. All right. So what we want to do now is go ahead and I'm going to use a strainer like this. Use a colander, use whatever you have to strain the pasta off. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take it. Go ahead and you probably want to grab a towel, right? You don't want to, no point in burning yourself, right? It slows down the whole program. All right, here we go. All right, so it's strained off the pasta. Steaming. Let's let some more liquid drain off. All right, back in the pot, just right there on the counter. Okay, now for today's situation, I mentioned before we're going to do red sauce and we're going to do pesto. So we've done two different versions. Both are going to have breadsticks. We're going to do a nice little presentation because why not? Why, it should look awesome too, right? It's really pretty easy. All right. Okay, so starting with this, let's take a little bit. We're going to take our pasta and pesto. Okay, go ahead and we're going to use about half of what we cooked here. All right, into the bowl. Just mix it up, give it a little flip it around. All right, there we go. Man, that looks pretty darn good. I think we're making restaurant quality food at home, right in your own kitchen. All right, now we got a bowl for this. Let's put that right there. Oh man, that looks pretty dang awesome. Super easy, really, really easy. All right, we'll set that aside. Okay, we have this dish. Now, let's do the second one. This one, we'll do things a little different. All right, we're gonna put the red sauce over the top. Therefore, let's go ahead and season our pasta just a little bit separately. All right, and you can eat this without the sauce and just eat it like this. Maybe the kids want a butter noodle or something like that. It's real simple. I'm gonna season that. We're gonna put in just a little bit of olive oil. We wanna make sure it's not all sticking together. It's gonna add some wonderful flavor. Okay, there we go. Secondary bowl into here. There it is. All right, now, almost there. Let's set that aside for a moment. Okay, pulling out our breadsticks. Check that out. Don't those look awesome? We got roasted garlic, a little pop of sea salt, and a little bit of buttery flavor. All right, so let's get rid of this guy. All right, now, let's wrap this up. On here, you got, let's do a breadstick. How about presentation, right? It's key. Don't we all eat with our eyes first. Okay, so we got a little bit of that. Why don't we go ahead and put, I happen to have additional Parmesan cheese on here. Let's do that. A little bit of cheese right on top. That's lovely. And why not make it look super restaurant quality? We're bringing that right to your own kitchen. Pretty cool, right? All right, that's wonderful. Now, secondary, we have our red sauce all heated up. Okay, let's do this. So we have our pasta that's been separately tossed in a little olive oil, a little bit of sea salt, and then we're going to take our red sauce and put it right over the top. All right, doesn't that look nice? You are more than welcome. Add some chicken, add some ground Italian sausage, maybe have elk or venison in your freezer. This is entirely up to you. I want to just give you the foundation, and what you do with it after that is up to you. Make it your own. Okay, there we go. Let's put a little more cheese on here. That is, why not? We have it. All right, there's that. Throw a couple of breadsticks. Man, the color is wonderful. All right, and then we have also our basil for garnish. And there you have it. Two totally different dishes made from dried penne pasta. One fresh made pesto, a little bit of lemon zing and a little garlic. The other is our leftover sauce known as pomodoro. You can call it what you want. It's a red sauce with penne as well, and breadsticks using leftover pizza dough. All right, so there you go. Now you're cooking at home during a global pandemic.